Hello and welcome back to our news bulletin, coming to you live from Warsaw. I'm Salia Strzemska. And we start with an explosive statement from the US Secretary of State. Marco Rubio said that his country will halt efforts to broker a Russia-Ukraine peace agreement within days, unless there are clear signs of progress. Rubio was speaking after talks with European and Ukrainian leaders in France.
America's top diplomat had a stark warning after wrapping up talks in Paris aimed at ending the war in Ukraine. He said Washington may abandon its ceasefire push.
We're not going to continue with this endeavor for weeks and months on end. So we need to determine very quickly now, and I'm talking about a matter of days, whether or not this is doable over the next few weeks. If it is, we're in. If it's not, then we have other priorities to focus on as well.
Rubio's comments come a day after French President Emmanuel Macron hosted him and Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, for talks where European and Ukrainian officials pleaded Kyiv's case. Ukrainian commentators said American patience is running out over the war in Ukraine.
Trying to be the best possible mediators, trying to push this kind of ceasefire deal, but still there is no yet tangible result. There is no tangible result yet. So the American patience is running out. They have other also priorities.
Ukraine says it has agreed the outline of a minerals deal with the United States. Kyiv has sought to gain US security guarantees in exchange for access to Ukraine's raw materials if a ceasefire is reached.
We are happy to announce the signing with our American partners of a memorandum of intent, which paves the way for an economic partnership agreement and the establishment of the investment fund for the reconstruction of Ukraine.
While still battling to finalize the minerals agreement, Zelensky will now be left wondering where Rubio's warning leaves his war-torn country.
We're having some big trade negotiations between not just Italy and the United States, but the whole European Union, said US Vice President JD Vance during a press briefing with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni in Rome. The upcoming discussions between Vance and Meloni will cover a potential Ukraine ceasefire and a US-EU trade deal.
We have a couple of important issues to discuss today. I want to update the Prime Minister on some of the negotiations between Russia, Ukraine, and also some of the things that have happened. Even in the past 24 hours, we think we have some interesting things to report on, of course, in private. So these negotiations, I won't prejudge them, but we do feel optimistic that we can hopefully bring this war, this very brutal war, to a close. I also, of course, want to talk to the Prime Minister about some of the economic relationships, very important between Italy and the United States. But of course, we're having some big trade negotiations between not just Italy and the United States, but the whole European Union. We talked a great deal about that yesterday with the President, and we'll follow up on those conversations today.
Italy and the United States are committed to enhance their strong cooperation. We think Italy can be a reliable and a serious partner in Europe, in the Mediterranean area. And so we are proud to have this special relation with the US and with this administration.
And now the latest from Ukraine. In the early hours of Friday morning, Russia launched a missile strike on Kharkiv in eastern Ukraine, targeting civilian infrastructure.
Ukrainian authorities report that one person was killed in the attack and 82 were wounded, including 6 children. Apartment buildings and business facilities were damaged in the strike.
A production enterprise was heavily damaged. It has nothing to do with the military. It's a civilian enterprise.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned the attack and offered his condolences.
This is how Russia began this Good Friday, with ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, Shaheds, maiming our people and cities.
Friday's attack was yet another Russian strike on civilian infrastructure in recent weeks. In April alone, more than 60 civilians were killed in Ukraine as a result of Russian strikes.
In Serbia, crowds gathered to protest the police questioning of Vladan Jokic, director of the University of Belgrade. The official has been summoned over criminal allegations filed against him for abuse of office. However, his supporters say he is being harassed for his support of anti-government protests.
In Serbia, tensions between the government and protesters are mounting. Government officials have repeatedly called for the arrest of Vladan Jokic, the rector of the University of Belgrade, who has been a supporter of the protests that have been sweeping the country for the past 6 months. On Friday, the rector was finally brought in for police questioning. Jokic faces accusations of abuse of office, but maintains that this is really a case of harassment in response to his siding with the anti-government movement.
These allegations are filed not just against me, but they rather implicate all members of the academic community who have endeavored for months to somehow articulate certain decisions that were initiated by students, endorsed by academics, and backed by the citizens of this country.
As Jokic was being questioned, protesters gathered outside the police station on Friday in a show of support for the university official.
This is not directed at the rector only, but rather towards all of us. It is repression and nothing else.
Well, I don't know what to tell you, other than this is completely unacceptable, and you can see that by the number of people who came here to defend the rector and to uphold the honor of the University of Belgrade.
Mass demonstrations have been rocking Serbia since the beginning of November after a railway station roof collapse in Novi Sad killed 16 people. What began as an anti-corruption protest has grown into a wider anti-government movement.
And now on a domestic note, the first Polish female F-16 pilot has completed her training. Polish Defense Minister Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz announced on Friday.
Important news for our Air Force and the entire Polish Armed Forces. An officer has become Poland's first female F-16 pilot. She serves at the 32nd Tactical Air Base in Łask. She received training in the US and can now fly our fighters. Congratulations! Another female pilot is undergoing training at the 31st base in Krzesiny. We are proud of you.
As the faithful gear up for the most important date in the Christian calendar, Poles flock to Kalwaria Zebrzydowska to attend its famous Good Friday ceremony. The event includes an 8-kilometer-long Way of the Cross, culminating with a Good Friday service. According to the Bible, Jesus Christ died on the cross on Good Friday around 2,000 years ago. Both the clergy and lay people engage in a reenactment of Christ's crucifixion during the service. After dying on the cross, Jesus Christ is said to have risen from the dead on Easter Sunday, the culmination of 40 days of Lent and Holy Week services, and the most important event in the Christian calendar. Easter weekend has begun, but Poles traveling to the UK to celebrate will not be allowed to bring those famous Polish sausages back home. That's because the UK has banned meat and dairy from the European Union to prevent the dangerous foot and mouth disease from reaching the country. Our reporter Ovidiusz Nicieja has more.
Most of the passengers we have asked here were aware of these restrictions, however, some were not. The UK has banned meat and dairy from the European Union. That's because of recent outbreaks of the disease in parts of the European Union. And people who try to bring such items to the UK will have them seized and destroyed by the authorities, but also in some cases people face fines of up to £5,000. So it could prove very costly. Now, we have asked, since we've been here in the morning, there have been at least 2 planes flying to London. So we have asked people traveling there whether they're aware of these restrictions. Here's some of the answers.
I admit that I bring bread with me. It's a type of bread I know well. I'm sure about the quality, and I really enjoy it, especially Polish bread. I'm aware of the restrictions, and we do follow the rules. It's just that you can get whatever you want in the UK, so I don't feel the need to bring anything else with me. We like Polish cheese and meat. We're heading on a long trip and plan to eat local products. We are aware of the ban because we recently visited the UK.
But it's temporary, no? It's not like forever. Yeah, of course. So, well, let's wait to see if they actually do something with it.
So foot-and-mouth disease is a very dangerous disease for farm animals. It doesn't affect humans. And even though these products, these dairy and meat products are for human consumption, there is the risk of them being discarded somewhere, of animals reaching them. And therefore, the UK authorities are trying to make sure that their animals are safe. There have been similar bans on similar products earlier from countries like Austria, Germany, Slovakia and Hungary, where we have seen outbreaks of the disease. Now it's a ban on all European Union countries. That includes Poland. So if you're traveling from the European Union to the UK, make sure to not have any meat or dairy with you because it can be costly.
And that's a wrap for this news bulletin. Up next, the bottom line.